From lost lakes steeped in fascinating histories and rumors of restless spirits tied to fatal accidents long past, to classic haunted houses where it's told the ghosts of former owners and their family members still wander after dark. Are you prepared to brave some of the most chillingly haunted places in British Columbia? Number 5. The Vogue Theatre. The Vogue Theatre, located off Granville Street in Vancouver, British Columbia, is a popular entertainment and performing arts venue recognized as one of the last remaining theaters from the aged city's iconic Theatre Row. Historically, the Vogue was first designed by the Kaplan and Sprockman architecture firm, with construction running from 1940 to 1941. Over the years, it would serve as a movie house, but would also host live concerts. And in 1987, the venue was sold to a development company who would close its doors for 5 years of extensive renovations, before reopening said doors in 1992 to one of the best live music scenes around. In 1998, further restorations would return the Vogue to its original appearance, while welcoming the installation of state-of-the-art light and sound systems. In 2010, the property's owners, being the Gibbons Hospitality Group, would express interest in transforming the site into an event space, and by 2017, projectors had been removed, with the former projection room converted into an office. The Vogue Theatre remains open into the present, offering live concerts, performances, and a range of events, such as Vancouver's Comedy Fest, the Vancouver International Film Festival, and the Vancouver International Jazz Festival. Though it's unknown by who or what, the Vogue has long been associated with rumors of paranormal activity, with staff, performers, and patrons describing disembodied footsteps and voices, extreme cold spots, and instances of seats in the main concert area opening and closing on their own, as if someone invisible is interacting with them. Many frequenting the area have told of run-ins with the ghost of a stern-looking, dark-haired man, who's usually encountered near the stage, on the catwalks, in the old projection booth, and in other working areas, as well as throughout the main audience level, who's been known to vanish when approached or addressed. Lastly, the venue's infamous underground dressing rooms, or if some have dubbed the dark corridor, the haunted hallway, is rumored to harbor all sorts of scares, and those who've braved this dark demesne have told of a constant, oppressive feeling, as well as of run-ins with shadow figures that stalk the living. Number 4. The Trethewey House Heritage Site. The Trethewey House Heritage Site, located off Ware Street within Mill Lake Park in Abbotsford, British Columbia, is a prestigious historical residence-turned-museum that's widely recognized both as the most significant abode in the Mill Lake area, as well as for its sophisticated craftsman-style architecture. Historically, circa 1900, Abbotsford local Charles Hill Tout would establish a sawmill on the lake's shores. In 1903, brothers Sam, Bill, Joseph, and Richard Arthur Trethewey would purchase said mill, and in 1912 they would open their Abbotsford Timber and Trading Company. In 1919, the Trethewey House was constructed under president of the Abbotsford Lumber Company, Joseph Ogle, or J.O. Trethewey, who would actually lead the company through the 1920s and several serious booms. And until 1934, the mill would remain in operation, after which the Great Depression would lead to the depletion of the local forests, and would result in the Trethewey brothers selling their operation to the Abbotsford Lions Club, who would utilize the lands to form Mill Lake Park. In 1935, the Trethewey House was purchased by the DeMazes family, who would remain on site until 1980, when the property was sold to a grandchild of the original Trethewey family, who, in turn, donated the land to the Abbotsford Matsqui Foundation. Following a slew of extensive renovations, in 1983, the abode was open to the public, and has remained as such ever since, offering its iconic museum, a wealth of educational materials and artifacts, both guided and self-guided tours, a range of annual events, and, as legend has it, an assortment of hauntings tied to its past, with both staff and guests reporting doors that open and close on their own, objects spied moving inexplicably or even floating in midair, disembodied voices and footsteps heard from empty spaces, and the constant feeling of being watched or followed. Several informal investigations of the premises have yielded high EMF levels and chilling EVPs, while those who've braved the upper level have told of lights that turn on and off by themselves, and of batteries and electronics that die suddenly. The most famous legend surrounding the Trethewey House Heritage Site tells that long ago, an unidentified woman perished within, and that ever since, her spirit has been both sighted wandering the halls, and has even been captured in the backgrounds of photographs, videos, and phone calls. Number 3. The Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. The Fairmont Hotel Vancouver, also known as the Castle in the City and located off West Georgia Street in Vancouver, British Columbia, is a prominent lodging whose chateauesque profile is honored as one of Canada's grand railway hotels, and that formerly, from the time of its opening until the completion of the TD Tower in 1972, was actually the tallest building in the sweeping metro. Historically, through the 1920s, Canadian Northern Railway would first begin the design of a new hotel on site, and while construction was started in 1928, the Great Depression would result in the building process being put on hold until 1937, with the business finally opening its doors in 1939. On New Year's Day of 1964, Hilton Hotels International would acquire management of the hotel from CNR, though it was never actually branded under Hilton. And on New Year's Day of 1984, when their Hilton contract had concluded, CNR would step back into the hotel's management position. In 2001, Canadian Pacific Hotels was re-established as Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, a name which was derived from an American company it had purchased in 1999, after which this aged lodging would be rebranded as the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. In 2014, as part of the hotel's 80th anniversary, it would undergo a host of renovations and remodels, and in 2015, the business was sold to Larco Enterprise, who would complete ongoing renovations by 2018. The Fairmont Hotel Vancouver remains open into the present, offering 557 guest rooms and suites, several food service options, a gym, swimming pool and spa, and a relaxing afternoon tea service. From its earliest days, this aged railway hotel has been surrounded in a number of ghost stories and tales of the inexplicable, with both staff and patrons telling of doors that open and close on their own, of lights that flick off suddenly, leaving all present in darkness, and of encounters with ominous, shadowy figures that have been known to chase or even follow home those unlucky enough to cross their paths. The most famous legend from the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver tells of 25-year-old Jenny Pearl Cox and of her husband, Harold, who, through the 1940s, were frequent guests at the old inn. Sadly, the couple was killed in a car accident, and many claim Jenny's soul returned to the place she so loved in life. To date, many report run-ins with a ghost bearing Jenny's likeness, who is most often spied on the 14th floor, peering from windows, or manifesting in the backgrounds of random photographs. Number 2. Cameron Lake. Cameron Lake, located in central Vancouver Island off of the north side of Highway 4, just east of Port Alberni in British Columbia, is a popular aquatic expanse recognized for being one of the warmest lakes in the whole of the region. Historically, prior to the arrival of Europeans through the mid-19th century, this site was used largely by native tribes to the region as a place of ceremony and spiritual significance, and several areas even boast culturally modified trees, or red cedars with their bark stripped, that date back as far as 1137 CE. Following European arrival, the lake would initially serve as an important fishing resource and recreation area to nearby settlers, and in 1860 it would be named in honor of first Chief Justice of Vancouver Island, being David Cameron. In 1940, in an effort to better protect the old-growth Douglas fir population near the lake, the Little Qualicum Falls Provincial Park was established, and in 1947, Macmillan Provincial Park was established out of 390 acres of the most ancient of said fir, which was dubbed the Cathedral in order to set them apart from the newer growth. Through the 1980s, a number of parkgoers would file a slew of disturbing reports, documenting purported encounters with something strange in the lake's waters that some claimed was a sort of sea serpent. And chillingly, in 2016, researchers would actually detect a large mass moving about the depths. However, before they could secure a shot of whatever the mass was, their cameras were literally detached. Cameron Lake remains a popular leisure and rec destination into the present, boasting beautiful sandy beaches and options in swimming, picnicking, kayaking, canoeing, angling, and even windsurfing. Over its lengthy usage, Cameron has been shrouded in a range of local legends, with those frequenting its bounds telling of extreme cold spots in the heat of summer, of odd ghostly lights spied along trails, and even of encounters with the fabled Sasquatch. Near the cabins, the spirit of a man known as Grandpa Bonnie likes to make his presence known through phantom wafts of pipe smoke, while the sea serpent spied so long ago, now more affectionately recognized as the Cameron Lake Monster, still makes appearances from time to time. One more popular tale surrounding the locale tells that years ago, an engine from the Cameron Lake train line came crashing down the mountain, and though this story has since been proven false, it hasn't stopped reports of a phantom whistle heard across the waters in the dead of night, followed by the clatter of a violent collision. Number 1. Craigdarroch Castle. Craigdarroch Castle, located off Joan Crescent in Victoria, British Columbia, is a historic Scottish baronial 4-story mansion packed with authentic furniture and effects from the 1890s that's recognized for its formidable collection, impressive stained glass, and intricate woodwork. Historically, Craigdarroch was initially constructed through the 19th century as a family residence for coal baron Robert Dunsmuir and his wife Joan. However, Robert would perish in April of 1889, 17 months before his castle was even finished, resulting in the residence's completion lying in the hands of his sons Alexander and James. Upon the passing of the widow Joan in 1908, Craigdarroch was sold to land speculator Griffith Hughes, who would subdivide the property into lots. In 1919, the home was acquired by the Bank of Montreal, and over the years, the structure would serve as a military hospital, as a college, as office space, and as a conservatory before, in 1979, being repurposed into a historical museum. Craigdarroch Castle remains open into the present, under the charge of the Craigdarroch Castle Historical Museum Society, a nonprofit dedicated to the site's ongoing preservation, and accommodates around 150,000 annual visitors, while serving as one of the country's most popular tourist destinations. Quite classically, Craigdarroch and its grounds are rumored to be haunted by the restless spirits of the Dunsmuirs and of various parties tied to the abode's past, with both officials and visitors to the locale reporting extreme cold spots on hot days, the phantom scent of burning candles, and objects sighted moving on their own. In total, Robert and Joan Dunsmuir would welcome 11 children into the world, but sadly, only 10 would make it into adulthood, with one child dying in infancy, and one daughter, Agnes, meeting her demise shortly after Robert, albeit at an adult age. Following Robert's passing and a lengthy battle against Joan for ownership of the company, Alex Dunsmuir would die in 1900 while on his honeymoon, after which Joan and James would be pitted against each other over their deceased son and brother's will, resulting in James never speaking to his mother following, and a dissolution of the family. These turbulent times are thought to have left their own supernatural scars on Craigdarroch, and those frequenting the expanse have reported hearing the disembodied sounds of a child crying in the distance, the phantom commotion of arguments held long ago, and near psychic visions of the family's history, in which unsuspecting living opened doors to find themselves in the castle a century prior for mere moments, before being snapped back to the present. The apparition of a maid has been cited about, seemingly tending tasks from life, and has been known to vanish when addressed. The manifestation of Joan Dunsmuir herself has been known to stroll the ornate steps in an elegant ball gown, eyeing those living present before fading away. And in the basement, several spine-tingling accounts tell of run-ins with the ghost of a little girl stuck staring at the ground, who disappears when approached, that's believed to be the weary soul of Agnes. Taking its fascinating and occasionally dark history into account, and coupling it with such a wealth of purported paranormal encounters and chilling ghost stories, we felt Craigdarroch Castle was the perfect choice as the most haunted place in British Columbia. Thanks for tuning in for our list of some of the most haunted places in British Columbia. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with anyone you feel could use a good scare. Good night.